Good evening, everyone. Erev Tov, Yishem Adonai Mevorach Ma'ata V'Adolam. We're going to have Bezrat Hashem class today about the fragrance. I hope we're going to finish. We have some very interesting questions, followed by another interesting class of Musar. This class is dedicated to all those who need refuah shelema, speedy recovery. Can mention their name now, if needed. And on behalf of Ohev Israel Foundation, I want to thank Medina's family and Yafa make so much effort to be here early and prepare all these treats for us. Toda Rabba. May God bless you with good health and nachat from all your children. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Toda. I already said bracha before. Now, Yafa, is it okay? Maybe a little bit more water? It's too sweet. It's too sweet. Yeah, too sweet. Okay. So we learned last time that everything you see, or you hear, or you taste, there's a blessing for it, and we should not enjoy in this world from this world without saying Hashem Toda Rabba. And we're saying a blessing. Fine. So we've learned that you should say a blessing, baracha, over fragrance. Whatever you smell a good fruit or good herb or something that comes from a tree, there is designated special baracha for it. Now, what if I smell Chanel 5? Synthetic. Or what's the name we have? Gucci, I don't know, something.
Chanel C.
For men, doesn't matter. Aftershave, perfume.
Yeah.
Should I say a blessing? Some people have the cigar. Some cigar has a good fragrance, sweet, or some of them has a smell like apple, peaches, whatever. Should we say a special beracha when we smell that? I'm not talking about the stinky cigarette. I'm talking about, I don't know, what do you call the pipe, you know? Hookah, thank you. So tobacco, yeah. So some hookah, may make nice odor. Nice odor. Or electronic cigarette, huh?
Is that not synthetic? A hookah?
Okay, that's a good question. So if we use a synthetic or if we use a real tobacco, or does it make any difference? All right? So most of the electronic cigarettes that I saw, they're using a synthetic liquid. Now, someone is sitting next to me and is puffing this type of, I don't know, apple odor. Should I say a beracha over it?
I don't think so.
All right, we'll see.
You're enjoying the scent of it.
Okay, we'll see. There's a special rules that we're going to study today, and we know what we do next time. Okay, so we finish off last time. If someone did a mistake over an herb, he said over a tree, so we've learned that the less halacha was the following. If someone mistakenly recited the blessing of Borei Atzeh Besamim for the fragrant tree fruit, his blessing is valid since it is the product of a tree. Okay, this is really clear. Understood. Now, many mistakenly using cinnamon for example, Avdallah. We're talking about the grounded one, the one that you use as spice, right? And they mistakenly say the blessing of Borei Atzeh Besamim. Shalom Aleichem. Now, if it's the shell, the tree shell, and you have the pieces of cinnamon, yes, the blessing would be Borei Atzeh Besamim. But when it's grounded, it loses status. The blessing will be different, and then we'll see in a minute. All right?
Because you can't distinguish what it is.
Right. It's not the tree trunk shell. It's something else. It's not the leaves. It's grounded already. So you can still say blessing over the cinnamon, but we'll see what kind of blessing. If someone wishes to smell a fragrance, but he cannot tell whether it is that of something grown on trees requiring the blessing of Borei Atzeh Besamim, or ground herb requiring the blessing of Borei Isbe Besamim, he should recite the blessing of, what is, remember the shehakol of the fragrance? Borei Mineh Besamim. Anytime you say Borei Mineh Besamim, you cover for the whole blessing. Every time you say this bracha, you have a mitzvah. The Gaon Mivina says, over every word you're saying, you have one mitzvah. So I take, I don't know, something I want to smell. How many mitzvot I'm making? Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam Borei Atzeh Besamim 9. Or Borei Mineh Besamim, or Borei Isbe Besamim, doesn't matter. 9 mitzvot in 3 seconds. You put tefillin a day, it's a 1 mitzvah. You keep the whole Yom Kippur, 1 mitzvah. Today we fasted 10th of Av, 1 mitzvah. Passover, we keep Passover, 1 mitzvah. Serving bracha, fragrance, 9 mitzvot, 3 seconds. See how easy it is? That's how we can do every day, all the time. You enter the mall or a store where you have a lot of perfume and aftershaves, and there is a good smell all over. What bracha you say? Remember? Mineh, correct.
Also, the candle places that you go in and you pass the candle place, there smells really nice.
All right, we'll get to it. That's a good question, especially in some jewelry store in the World Trade Center on the 7th floor. they always have this candle, right?
Yeah.
And it's a good one, by the way. Okay, so we'll get to it. If cosmetic can mix several fragrances together, the correct blessing for the mixture is Borei Mineh Besamim. Remember, Mineh cover for everything. Likewise, if someone visits a cosmetic store and smells the mixture of several pleasant fragrances, he should recite the blessing of Borei Mineh Besamim. In another opportunity, you go into a store, it's a good smell. You know, sometimes you go to the mall, you want to check. So you use the testers, right? Mm-hmm. No, I don't like this one. No, don't. Then they give you a coffee, right? The coffee beans.
To get rid of the smell.
Get rid of the smell. So you see how many brachot you can make? Huh?
You do the bracha in the coffee too.
Of course. Mm-hmm. But there's a difference between Ashkenazi and Sephardi over a synthetic. There's a debate, and I tell you what's the. I don't know if I get it today. Yeah, I'll get it to you. But let me just tell you now, because it's going to take me a while to get there, maybe. Okay. It's a debate between Ashkenazi and Sephardi. Ashkenazi says no. Rabbi Yoshev, Rabbi Zalman Auerbach says no blessing should be made over a synthetic. And Chamavadia and other Sephardi, and Rabbi Scheinberg, Ashkenazi also, paskin that you can say bracha Borei Mineh Besamim. What's the reason Rabbi Yoshev and Rabbi Zalman Auerbach? They're saying that it's a mix of chemical. Each chemical by itself could have no smell or bad smell. When you mix them together, it creates a nice odor. So the foundation of it, it's not a good smell. So therefore, you don't say anything. Unlike something come from nature, for example. So those who want to follow the Rabbi Scheinberg Paskin, you can say bracha. And you earn more brachot. Okay? Now, you get to a point that you have a mixture. I went to someone's house and I saw the Havdalah, he has a small container that has inside pieces of cinnamon and cloves and some pieces of, I don't remember what was it, but I know it was herb, ground. So it was a mixture of atzeh, herb, and tree. What do you say on such a mixture? Halacha says, if leaves of fragrant trees have become mixed with leaves of fragrant ground herbs, and it's not possible to separate them, one must recite the blessing of, what do you say? Borei Mineh Besamim, thank you. You're a good student. I can skip all that. You already know that. When smelling the mixture. Okay. What beracha I said over this cup of coffee before this class? What did I say? Okay, so I took cinnamon, for example. And it requires the blessing, Boreatzeh. If I took any other herb or any other fragment, any other besami, when I say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'akol niya bidvaro. This is really good. Did I fulfill the mitzvah?
No.
Why not?
Could you smell it? You didn't
You
drink.
need to drink it.
Oh, if it has a smell.
Yeah, but it's charcoal.
So what's the meaning of the word shehakol? What shehakol stands
It's
for?
for everything.
Everything. So if for everything, it covers for that too. It's not the specific one, it's not the best one right now, but when you already say shehakol, it covers for everything.
So
But
you
is
can
that one
smell it and then
blessing?
drink it, or you have to do it?
Oh, it's a good question, and I will answer that. We already dealt with that before. Huh?
So that's only one blessing if you say shakol? But you smelled it, you should have said mene. You would have
That's a good point. If I say shehakol over that, if I cover for that, if I have in mind, yes, I'm busted. You should not have in mind to cover for that. It's a good point. If someone mistakenly recited the blessing of shehakol nihya bidvaro for unpleasant fragrance, his blessing is valid. The words of this blessing are so general that they can apply even to a pleasure of smelling a fragrance, not only to the pleasure of eating or drinking. So you were asked something before. Did you ask? Did you point out? If you drink
You
before,
say
then
charcoal
okay.
And you smell, you have
Okay.
to do it again when you want to.
Okay. So Dr. Yitzchak asked a question. He says, if I smell and then say bracha, or I say bracha, I smell, and what if I already smelled it? Is it too late? So the halacha says the following. Before, it's called over le'asiyatam, meaning you say a blessing and then the action. This is a big debate between Ashkenazim and Sephardim about Shabbos candle.
No, yeah.
Sephardi, what Sephardi do? Saying blessing and light the candles. Like you don't eat an apple and then you say blessing. No, you say blessing and then you eat the apple. Ashkenazim hold that if you kindle the Shabbos table, Shabbos candles, you accept the Shabbat. When you say, okay, so what you need, when you say the blessing, I'm sorry, so you have to kindle first and then say the blessing. It's reversed. Because if you already said the blessing, it's too late. Ladlik ner shel Shabbat, I accepted Shabbat, I can't make it. Sephardi do, what do? We're saying in the beginning of the year, one time, I don't accept Shabbat with the blessing. It's for the honor of Shabbat, for the sake of Shabbat. I say the blessing, I light it, done deal. What if I already smell and then I say, oof, I forgot to say a blessing. So the recommendation of the halacha is better to smell first to see that there's some odor comes out of it and that you're not stuffed and your nose is clear. Then now you can say bracha. Some people, what they do is, oh, this is, what is this, cinnamon? Oh, let me try it. Baruch borei atzeh besami. I don't smell anything. This is a blessing in vain. So better check that you can smell and then say the blessing. In a case that you forgot, let's say I didn't say any blessing over this cup. And I know for sure I didn't say. It's not that when it's questionable. When it's questionable, you don't say blessing. Why? Because we know the rule that says that if we have a mitzvot from Rabbanan, it's called rabbinical mitzvot, we are more lenient. If it's questionable, so I don't know if I said the blessing. No, it's better don't say. Otherwise, the blessing is going to be in vain because you might say it. But anything that comes from the Torah, you have to say a blessing if you have a question. For example, after a meal, I go and say, did I say Birkat HaMazon? Well, I'm not sure. No one here has to remind me. You have to say Birkat HaMazon again. because the baracha is from the Torah. This is the rule called Safek Derabanan Lekula and Safek Deoraita Lechumra. Safek means doubt, Rabbanan, rabbinical, Lekula, we're lenient. You don't know, you're not sure, forget it, don't say any blessing. Some has this with Asher Yatzah. After 5 minutes, did I say Asher Yatzah? It's a rabbinical mitzvah. If you question that, you don't know, don't say. But any mitzvah from the Torah, be more strict. It's called Safek Deoraita Lechumra. You have a doubt in regards to a mitzvah you were supposed to fulfill, that it's from the Torah, you have to say it. Or to do, okay? That's it. So in case of the water or the coffee, as long as I still have drink here, I should say a blessing. Or finishing the whole apple, or finishing the whole banana. Did I say Borei Pri Adama? No, it's too late. Or let's say you know for sure you didn't say, oops, I didn't say. But I finished the banana. If you finish the banana, it's too late. You finish the food, you ate the portion, it's done. If something left, you still have the chance to say bracha. It's not too late. Okay? The bracha is very important. It's something we've learned a few classes before. Imagine that someone ate meat, fleshik, an hour ago. A good barbecue, wow, he's full of it. And then he goes home, he opened the refrigerator, opened an ice cream, stuck the spoon, and then say, Baruch Atam Melech Haolam she'akol niya bidvaro. As soon as you read bidvaro, you remember he's fleshik. What is he going to do? You have 2 seconds to eat.
Drink water.
He's in the desert.
In the desert with ice cream.
It's a freezer in the Sahara Desert. Solar. It's a solar. It doesn't have a cordless. So what do you do? You have to taste. You have a little bit, right? Because otherwise the blessing will be in vain. And don't take advantage and finish the whole container now. I already said no. Just a little bit, right?
You can't say Lamdeni Hokecha or anything.
Lamdeni Hokecha, it's when you do a mistake in the blessing. For example, you take motzi lechem, you take a bread and you say, Baruch Atah Borei Pri Ha'etz, Lamdeni Hokecha, or you say, immediately you can change it to motzi lechem. If you say Baruch Atah Hashem and you don't know what's going on, what is this? Finish with Lamdeni Hokecha. But it's something we'll get more details B'ezrat Hashem in the future. So we've learned that Shalom Aleichem, even Shehakol is covers for everything, right? Now, what's the categories of fragrances? The definition of tree, herbs, mixture. If you want to take a note, it's very important. Now, you won't need me. You won't need the book. You know that this is the rule. When you know the rule, next time you go to a store, you can do many blessings. Right? Tree fragrance grows as part of a true perennial tree, characterized by a woody stem. Its leaves grows from the trunk, not from the root, in the ground. That requires the blessing of Borei Atzeh Besami. Another example I can give you is if the roots are there, remain there the whole year. Doesn't change the roots. It's another sign this is a tree. Some people mistakenly think that if you have seeds. Any fruit that has seeds in it, it's a tree. Wrong. What about tomatoes? You can see the seeds. Cucumbers, you can see seeds. Everything that renewed, every time you harvest it and renewed, this is herb. Apple, you just take the tree, the fruit from the tree. Oranges. The debate starts with something like banana. So why banana is Adama? I still see the tree trunk. It doesn't die. Every year it produces more bananas. But it's still Adama.
The tree died. And then you
Right. Actually, you don't see it, but the roots dies and it produces new roots at the bottom. This is why you get the status of Adama. Right? It dies. But another tree, it lives, it's there. It's always there. It's another easy thing to remember. It's going to be ha'etz. Ground fragrances are the product of annual plants. It does not matter whether or not the stem is hard or woody, or there is no trunk at all, and the leaves grows directly from the roots. Likewise, it does not matter whether it is necessary to replant the herb every year, or if the plant grows anew each year from a bulb in the ground. These fragrances all requires the blessing of Boreh, Isbe. Isbe besamim. Isbe is the plural for the word Esev. Esev means herb. Okay. Esev also stands for grass. Grass. Esev. The plural for Esev, Isbe. Some mistaken, they say Isve. What is Isbe? It doesn't matter. Okay. Let me skip that. The correct blessing for cloves is Boreh Atzeh Besamim. Cloves, right? By the way, cloves is very healthy. Yemenite using it as a medicinal herb. I've used it many times and it has unbelievable effect on your body. You have to get used to it. It's strong. But if you have stomach issues, problems with the colon or toothaches and all this, it's antibacterial. It kills bacteria on the spot. And I'll give you an example in a minute. I shared that with you before. You take a clove, you put it in your mouth, and you suck into it for a few minutes, and you eat it, you swallow. You can take 5 to 6 every time, every shot. 1, 2, it depends on how you can stand it. It's unbelievable. I usually make teas for Shabbat from herbs. Before I use the cloves, mix it with cloves, it would spoil within 3 to 4 days. 4 days outside, you would see already bacteria, mold. First time I did, I mixed it with a bunch of cloves, which improved the taste, by the way, also very well. It lasts for, usually it doesn't last more because we use it, for over 2 weeks outside, and the smell is still fresh like I make it yesterday, or the same day. So I started to read about it. And then I read that it's antibacterial and all the good things about it. All right? So, highly recommended to use. It's safe. And it also, if someone has a bad smell in the mouth, it clears the mouth. Sometimes bad smell can come from the stomach, right, doctor? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily from the mouth. So when you use this clove, you swallow it, it clears also the junk we have over there. So I want to share with you, and this is very good herb to use. So the correct blessing of a clove is going to be Boreh Atzeh Besamim. And this is the common custom among Sephardic Jews. The same applies to cinnamon bark. The above is true for whole cloves or pieces of cinnamon bark that have been designated for use as fragrances. If someone has a container of ground cinnamon or cloves in the kitchen, many have in the kitchen cabinets, that is used to spice food, then its blessing demoted to bore mine besamim. It's a mixture. It's a simple one. Why? Because it's meant to be used from start as a spice. Unlike when you get it whole. Right? What about mint? How do you call it in Israel? How do you call it? Arab call it. Mint is nana. You familiar with nana? Okay, so what's the blessing over nana? It's a very good smell. Many has it in the backyard. It's herb, remember?
Oh, yeah.
It's mint, right? The correct blessing for the fragrance of peppermint, Isbe, or spearmint, is bore isbe besamim. Even though these herbs are edible, their fragrance warrants a blessing if someone picks them up in order to smell them. There's no reason to suspect that it is wrong to recite this blessing or that it might be a blessing recited in vain, and therefore to refrain from enjoying these fragrances. It is perfectly permissible to pick up these herbs, recite the appropriate blessing, and smell the fragrance, even though one plans to use the leaves in food or in beverage. In the meantime, one may pick them to enjoy their fragrance. Reciting the blessing, Borei Minei Besamim. Where is Be Besamim? Is Be. So, another opportunity. Rosemary. What's going to be the blessing of rosemary? The blessing of Borei Atze Besamim requires to smell the fragrance of rosemary, jasmine, lemon, verbena, and ataria. I don't know what ataria means. I tried to look it up. I couldn't find it. Something probably Arabic. But the blessing is Atze Besamim. I looked it up. I Googled it. I couldn't find anything for ataria. I pick up a leaf from eucalyptus. Eucalyptus. What's the blessing? The leaf. What's going to be the blessing? It's a tree.
It's a tree, yeah. That's it.
And I pick up the leaf from the tree. So the blessing of Borei Atze Besamim is required to smell fragrant tree leaves. It's a tree. What do you do with roses? The blessing of Borei Atze Besamim is required to smell roses or to smell the fragrance of citrus blossoms or any fragrant flowers that grows on trees. Can I do that on Shabbat, by the way? Can I go to the garden and the halacha says yes, you can. We don't concern that he might pick it up because we know this Shabbat. So you can do Shabbat, but have to be careful, right? Not to pull it and not to do anything that might cause that. Okay. Now, what we discussed before, the correct blessing for the fragrance of synthetic perfumes and cologne, right? Cologne, maybe cologne. C-O-L-O-G-N-E. Cologne. You see, why you write knife with a K before? You see, it's a crazy English. I should say knife.
Yeah.
Right.
Or listen. Why listen? Why the T is there? Move it. You don't use it anyway. Knife. You see, it's confusing me. Perfumes or cologne is Borei Minei Besamim. Remember, there's some Ashkenazi rabbi that hold that you can still say it. Now there's a Rabbi Yoshi, Rabbi Zalman Auerbach says there is no blessing. Let's conclude with answering the question about the smoke we discussed in the beginning of the class. So, smelling snuff to which other fragrances no blessing may be recited when smelling snuff to which other fragrances have been added. So many times tobacco they're adding at the factory, I believe it's synthetic because it's cheap, of different kind of fragrance. Could be apple, could be peach, could be lemon, lavender, these kind of things. We don't say any blessing. If someone uses a cigar, someone smokes cigar that have a pleasant fragrance, and he enjoyed from it, enjoyed not only by the smoker, but also by all those around him. Or for example, the electronic cigarette. Wow, what is that smell? Oh, it's you, you're smoking that. Maybe I should say bracha. Halacha says no. Even so, no one may recite the blessing for these fragrances, since the purpose of cigars is for smoking, not to be source of fragrances. Furthermore, medical science has demonstrated that smoking is damaging to the health of the smoker and to all those who inhale the foams that he exhaled. And as such, it is certainly does not warrant a blessing. Our sages rule that one must not recite any blessing when ingesting plain olive oil because it is damaging to one's health, as explained. If some people has the customs in some Arab countries, every morning half or a full cup of olive oil, whoop, they drink it. It is. I'm just thinking about it. I'm about to throw up. But they do that, and they say that it's oiling the joint. It's really good. It works. You know, one day they interview a guy over 90 years old, and he's working in the field. They ask him, "What's your secret?" It's Arab guy or Bedouin, I remember. He says every morning he drink a cup of olive oil. But there's no blessing. According to the Talmud, it's not so healthy. Now, I don't know if it's related to nowadays, because certain things that the Talmud says and that Rambam wrote does not relate for today. For example, Rambam says onion and garlic are not healthy. And so nowadays they're saying that the garlic we have today, it's not so similar to what they have back then. Like the wine, the Talmud many times mentioned, it's called yain yashan, old wine. It was so strong, just a wine. When you drink a small cup, less than 3 ounces, you will go to sleep. Today, if people are finishing bottles, I don't know. So maybe they're talking on days that, I don't know, that there was more power or energy or whatever in the fruit. Okay. Questions?
The onion may be because it's toxic. Like if you remove the root and you leave it open, it can be poison. So
For which one?
The onion or garlic.
Uh-huh.
So like to keep it kosher, you have to, if you open it, you have to save the root and cover it in oil.
Right. So Miriam mentioned something very important I will share with you. This is something we call ruach ra'ah, bad spirit. There's certain food that the bad spirit, the ruach ra'ah, is been drawn to. One of them is garlic and onion. Don't ask me now why, you have to study Gemara for it. So what do I do if this is why it says, if you leave overnight onion, you have to throw it. Garlic, you have to throw it. So what do? You need garlic, open, clear the shell, and use it. But there's a trick that you can avoid. What's the trick? If it's spiced, the ruach hara'ah, the bad spirit, cannot touch. No bad energy can come to it. So what people do, they clear many cloves, many garlic. You call garlic cloves, right?
Yeah.
Right, cloves. There is a nice way to do it with the pot. You saw it with the pot? How you do it?
Yeah.
When you shake it, I've done it many times. When it's really dry, you put the whole thing inside. You shake it. When you open after a minute, you see it's all clear. You take the cloves easily out. I can demonstrate later if you want. So what do? You have some left over. So what we do in my house, we adding oil on it. We have a box, let's say a jar full of it already. We're pouring some olive oil. We mix it, and then you can use it as much as you want, no problems. Same you can do with onion. You can spread some, I don't know, salt. Some says to leave the roots and cover it with some plastic bag. Leave it in. Even if you leave it in the refrigerator, you still have to do that. Spice it or mix it with something. This is why some people made salads. It was a question brought up. Let's say I made a salad with some onion, and I leave it in the refrigerator overnight to take tomorrow to work or to school. Now it's an onion that the whole night pass on it. What's going to be the problem? It's a problem. You have to throw it all away. So this is why you spice it a little bit. It won't be too juicy, right? Spice it, and you're good. All right? This is recommendation for us. Will be saved from these kind of things. Many Vad Kashrut organization, if they see that on the food making process they're bringing the already peeled garlic, they will disqualify the entire line and can cause a big loss for the factory. So to be very careful with that. It depends. I heard the story about the badats, and I spoke with the mashgiach one time, and he told me that he disqualified the whole line. It was a big balagan, a big mess, because they brought to the food making already peeled from China, I think it was, garlic. So he disqualified everything. It was a big mess. I saw a pasuk on Chacham Ovadia that if it's already peeled, the one that they're selling in Sam's Club and Costco and all that, the big jars, if already peeled, you can use it. Just pour in it some olive oil, mix it, and use it for cooking. It's already peeled, and more than one night pass on it, no problem. If you're already talking about Ruach Ra'ah, I can give you another tip. Chacham Mutzafi says that according to the Kabbalah, first water that you can wake up in the morning, first water, let it run. You have a faucet, you open, let it run, and then fill up your cup and drink, if you drink from the faucet. Okay? Let it run, don't drink the first, let it run for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Okay, nothing. Never use the water that you still have in your kettle, unless it was boiled the whole night for Shabbat. Overnight, pour it, open the faucet, let it run, fill it up, and then heat it up. Because also open water that the whole night pass on it, you have to throw away. It's a ruach ra'ah, bad spirit, been drawn to it, and some people had a lot of anxiety during the day. They don't know why. It happens because of that. Could be that's the reason.
And the toilets, and they leave it open.
Okay? So there's many things that Chazal, our sages, teaching us to help us out to maintain a blessed day. Even if we don't understand, and we don't know what's the source of it, and why, believe me, first do, and then investigate. And then ask, exactly. Any questions?
I missed the about cigarettes, about like...
There's no blessing.
No blessing.
No blessing.
Even if
No.
it's
It was made for smoking.
Got it, okay.
As long as we know that it was made, like for the grounded cinnamon. The grounded cinnamon was made for spicing of food. It was not for using for... Unless it says on it for smelling or for Havdalah. That's a different story. It was made for it. It was designated for it. Right? So, I will conclude with saying that when you mentioned that, people sometimes don't understand the sense behind things. For example, I had the other day a question. I've heard if I buy a utensil from a non-Jew, I have to dip it in the mikveh. If it's from a Jew, I don't need to. I don't know. It looks to me like the same. This is a plate, this is a plate. What's the difference? What's the difference? Why this one disqualified? Why if a non-Jew touches a wine, non-cooked, non-mushal, it's a problem? It's the same wine, same bottle. What did he do?
I know.
So he's worse than a wicked Jew. By the way, he's not. They have the same status. Not wicked. Someone that breaks Shabbat have the same status like a non-Jew. What do you want to say? You said I know?
I said I know. For the wine.
Wow, this is a whole, it's a wide topic. I don't want to go to it, but Zasha will discuss why. I think we mentioned that before. I'll give you more than that. I'll push it a little bit more. Some says that if a non-Jew even look at a wine when you pour it, it disqualified for you. The non-mevushal, the mevushal no problem, non-cooked.
Yeah.
He's just looking. His eyes has energy. By the way, yes. And this is called ayin hara, but it's not ayin hara here. The thing is, okay, I'll give you the short version. Avodah zara, idol worshipping, can be done physically or with your mind only. You can have an intention in your mind to go to shul, you daven, but you daven for, God forbid, for Yeshua, for Jesus, for who knows. You're in the shul, you're in a minyan, you respond amen, but all your intention, it's in your head to someone else. It's good or bad? It's horrible. It's avodah zara per se, per excellence. It says avodah zara. But it's only here, it's up in the head. Right? So I can say, this wine over there, for the sake of my avodah zara, for the sake of my idols, for the sake of Yeshua. So disqualifying, and that's what they do back then in the ancient days. When they have wine, they made the lechaim or salut or whatever. For the sake also, they bless their avodah zarah in the name of so and so. They disqualified just by. This is our decree restrictions that our sages brought, so we don't mix with idol worshippers. So it's really strong restriction. Now, why cooked is different? What difference does it make? They cook it up to 80 Celsius. Not too much, going to ruin it. Because when you cooked a wine, it's disqualify its quality. This is disqualify its quality. And the priest or the idol worshiper never used such a wine. It was not appropriate for them to use such a wine for the avodah zarah. They always use the pure, the good, the strong one. Therefore, the cooked is out of the game. So cooked, unboiled, mevushal, even a non-Jew can touch.
You don't have the intention.
And even if you do intention, it doesn't do anything because it's not designated for avodah zarah. It's no problem. Okay. But as I say, this is more to talk. I can give you more examples and stories that involve with that. This is just to give you a taste of it. It's nothing against the non-Jew. He can be a great noachad and tzaddik. That's the halacha. Have to follow halacha, whether we understand or not, whether we agree or not. That's the halacha. And by the way, it applies to a Jew that breaks Shabbat. Yehudi shemehalel Shabbat. A Jew that breaks Shabbat, kegoy, he has the status of a non-Jew. And he disqualified the wine. And problems start when you invite people home. You want to do an outreach, bring people to Shabbat table, and some of them drives on Shabbat or break Shabbat. What are you going to do?
You cannot be in the minyan
Also that. So we have some leniency here and there. So this is why we are bringing only mevushal to solve all the problems. In case you have non-mevushal, sometimes he himself brings non-mevushal. He comes Shabbat, he brings something with him. So he brings the non-mevushal, and he expects you to open it. He is praising the wine. He tasted a few days ago. It's beautiful. He brings it. What are you going to do now? I said, Rabbi, I have to open it for you. It happens to me. I'm going to open it for you, and you have to taste. You have to try it. And I'm looking at my wife. My left is looking at me. And what I'm going to do? Now, he's going to... He says, up. Let me see it. And I read it. It says, ask Neria, go get me a bottle opener. He says, you know what? I told him, this looks like amazing. Can I get the honor to open it? B'vakasha, Rabbi. I said, guys, this is mine. I'm in charge. He was so happy about it that I gave it special attention. Sometimes you have to be tricky. You know, what can I do? I have to find, otherwise, I won't drink, and it will get from other wine you drink, my wine you don't drink. So Hashem gave me this idea so I can get off the hook. Any event, this is very important that we study halachot. I'm sure that at least one halacha today was new to you. At least.
Many.
So you see how important it is? And we do that once a week. We should do it every day. We do halacha every day. But we're all blessed that we can do it together once a week. Now, on behalf of Rabbi Ronen Foundation, I want to thank everybody, all the participants within this family. Please go to our website and support our organization that have families in needs and Torah study. We'll be back momentarily. Shalom.